species Hexastylis minor is a very interesting species itself. It grows in these clumpy patches, and that led me to ask questions about what affects its density and why it grows in the pattern it does. And it's important for a number of reasons to understand how populations are reacting to different drivers in order to best manage to maintain species diversity. And with Hexastylis minor, I think the ways to do so are to examine how or what affects these populations, such as deer and competition between species. The demography part of the study is important because it's important to understand population dynamics and how individuals interact with one another. And the study looks at how density of its population affects its population growth rate, meaning do individuals compete with each other for resources? If they grow in too dense a clump, do they see reduction in survival and growth? Or perhaps these dense clusters actually benefit one another, and growing in dense patches could result in more pollination or protection from herbivores. So examining those interactions can help us lead to better management practices.
Herbivory is like an herbivore, so anything like a deer or maybe a rabbit or something that eats a lot of leafy greens and plants. So the study that's looking at the herbivory and pollen limitation interactions, there are 4 experimental groups, and half of them have little wire cages around them to keep out herbivory such as deer, and the other half, or like a different half, is getting pollen supplementation. So we're just kind of helping the pollen or the pollination process so that they are not pollen limited. So we're seeing the reproductive success and how we can compare them. And then in the study involving density, we're studying one big plot and we're using that to study density. So they're split up into smaller sections, and we're looking at how many neighbors each plant has so that we can determine if density affects the population growth.
Yeah, so since herbivory is part of our study, we can measure that by like how many leaves are lost on certain plants, but there can be other mechanisms that cause leaf loss. So like trampling, for instance, whether it's from deer or of dogs or people walking off path, can remove leaves from the plants because they are very delicate and alter our data. And the flowers themselves are also super delicate. And since we're studying reproductive mechanisms, especially during this time, the altercation of flowers by trampling and things going off path can also affect our study.